Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're hooked up, we got sound happening. Okay, I'm going to walk you through this section. This is the ACS or assignable channel section. This is analogous to this section on your analog console, alright? Except it's much more powerful. Beginning in the top left corner, this is your metering. Okay, you can see that there are two of them. Why? Backup. Any idea why are there two?
The left speaker and the right speaker.
Close, very close. That would be over here, right? You've got the what sort of inputs do you have coming into this? Is this mono or stereo? Mono, right? Because there's only one. What about things like your keyboard, your CD player? What are those?
Stereo.
Stereo, right? The difference is that mono, there's only one. Stereo has a left and a right. Okay, so if something has a left and a right, it's stereo. Just like our ears. Okay, we hear in stereo unless you have hearing loss, in which case you don't hear. So this right one is used, for example, CD player, iPod, that sort of thing. Okay, this one here, 48V. What's that? The latest Pokemon. I'm so dating myself. Okay, what is this? Ah, correct. This is phantom power. Phantom power is used for?
Instruments.
Right, it's used for condenser microphones and active DI boxes. Okay, so with this one, if you need phantom, you switch it on. If you don't, leave it off. Okay, in this installation here, I believe you don't use any condenser mics, so you usually don't need that. This one is a polarity reverse, which what it does is it flips the waveform upside down. If I were to draw it here, okay, so if that's your waveform there, when you hit your polarity reverse, it would look like that. Okay? And this is used where you have two mics on the same signal source. Good example being snare top and bottom, or kick drum inside and outside, or acoustic guitar, say you've got a pickup and a microphone. Sometimes reversing the phase of one of them makes things sound better. Okay, but in general, it's nice to fiddle with when you've got nothing better to do, all right? Preacher's gone 45 minutes and it's like, yeah. Next, HPF. What does that stand for, everyone?
High pass frequency.
High pass filter, all right? So high pass filter, now what does that do?
Cut low.
Yes, it cuts the low frequencies. The easiest way for me to demonstrate it is just to show you. Okay, so this is my voice with no high pass filter. In order to use the high pass filter, you have to engage it. You got the nice blue light, and listen to the sound of my voice. Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Can you hear what happened? All the bass has gone away, right? Now, if you want to see what is going on, you press EQ on the touch screen. Okay, you press EQ and it gives you a curve. So check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, and this is very useful in a kind of visual way, right? Remember that you mix with your ears, right? But some people like to see what they are hearing. So this high-pass filter is an incredibly powerful tool because it can often take the place of the EQ, right? Because you got to remember that microphones have EQ built into them, right? Mics are generally designed for certain things, like this is designed as a vocal mic, or it was. Now it looks like it's designed for the trash, but anyway. So sometimes all you need to do is you use the high pass filter and you can get a really good sound. Okay, so check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sounds pretty good, right? So what we're going to do now is I'll get a couple of you to experiment with this. Okay, here, let's give this to you. Right? So the way that you use the high pass filter is you switch it on, you roll it up until the sound sounds too thin, and then you back it off. Okay, right, so go ahead. So you got to talk while you're doing this.
Check, 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 1, 2.
Yeah.
Check, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, check, 1, 2. Check, 1, 2, 3, 4. Check, check.
So you hear your voice starting to sound a bit thin, right?
Yeah.
So you back it off until it, yeah.
Check, check, 1, 2. Check, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Good, excellent. All right, let's get somebody else to do it. Let's get, Harold, you can do it. Let's get his manly voice happening.
Check 1, 2.
Ooh,
check.
yeah.
Test mic. Test. 1, 2. Check. 1, 2. Test mic. Test. 1, 2.
All the way.
Check. 1, 2.
Oh, yeah.
Check. 1, 2.
Excellent. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So you can hear that this solves so many problems, right? Without it, you had feedback, you couldn't understand anything you were saying, it sounded like you were just smoked the wrong type of thing. And after that, it suddenly sounded a lot clearer, right? So in the old days with the analog console, this mixer has a fixed high pass filter, right? It's fixed at 80 Hertz, which is okay as a starting point. But then what you would have to do is you would have to cut the bass and sometimes boost the treble to get the sound that you wanted. With this guy, the frequency is adjustable, so you just roll it all over the place until it sounds good, okay? A good starting point is 100 to 150 for male voices and 200 for female voices. You can see that you can often go a lot higher, right? Because microphones have what is called proximity effect. Do you know what that is? Proximity effect is the increase in bass when I go near the mic. So you can hear that when I'm near the mic, my voice gets real bassy. If I back off even a little bit, you can hear that bass is feeding back, right? So if you have a singer who sings right on the grill, you can really go to town with this. Check, check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So here I'm high passed at 400 and it sounds nice and natural, right? So this is a really, really powerful tool, and I encourage you that use this on everything, right? Even things like bass guitar. Bass guitar can sound good with a high pass set around 50, right? 40 to 50. Kick drum can sound really good with it set down there as well, all right? So a lot of the time, once you set the high pass correctly, you don't have to use any EQ. Now, I'm going to skip gate and compressor for now, and I'm going to move on to the EQ section. The reason I'm skipping that is that it's not present on this mixer. So on the analog mixer, you have a very simple, what we call 3-band fixed EQ. You had a low, a mid, and a high. And again, better than nothing. On this guy, okay, here you had 3 knobs. Now you have 10 knobs. So you have a low mid, a high mid, and a high. You have frequency and you have bandwidth. So most of the time, people look at this and they're like, what am I going to do with all these knobs, right? It's like when you have a lot of money, it's like, what am I going to do with all this cash, man, you know? All right? But the point is that I'm going to show you a simple way to adjust this. Once you have set your high pass filter, all right? Check, check, 1, 2. If it sounds good, don't touch the EQ. All right, that's what I always tell people. People ask me all the time, how do you EQ, man? I say, hey, man, no EQ is the best EQ, because the more you EQ, the more you are introducing things like phase, distortion, and basically your original is becoming more and more modified. All right? The EQ has an on-off button here, which you can use to compare the EQ'd and the un-EQ'd sound. Now, if you decide that you're going to EQ, the system that I teach people is this. You can use either the low or the high mid. Okay, typically voices have an issue in the low mid that causes muddiness. So for demonstration, I'm gonna check. I'm gonna back the high pass off to 125. What I tell people to do is this. You boost. Check 1 2. You boost quite a bit now, it's trying to feedback, and then what you do is you take the frequency knob and you sweep the frequency until it sounds its worst, and then you cut, right? So this is how it works. Check 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Check 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 7 8 9. So you can hear that here it sounds pretty bad, right? It sounds really boomy, really thick. So then I go from boost to cut. Check 1 2 3 4, and you can hear that it pulls that frequency out. Okay, but again, check 1 2, check 1 2, check 1 2, check 1 2. You can hear that just by using the high pass filter, I can also deal with that issue. Okay, so you may not need to use the EQ section at all. You can also do that with the high mid control. So let's do. I'll reset this here. Okay, so we'll do the high mid. Check 1 2. Make sure it's in. Check 1 2. So check 1 2 3 4 5 6. Check 1 2 3 4 5 6. Check 1 2. Yeah, maybe around there. Check 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, so what we'll do now is we'll stop the recording and we'll let some people try this. What we'll do now is we'll cover the gate and the compressor section. Okay, this is something that a lot of people don't understand, and rightly so, because it gives you a lot of control which wasn't on this old mixer. So let's begin with the gate section. Now we all understand what the channel on-off switch does, right? Okay, off, no sound, on, got sound. Think of the gate as a sort of automatic mute, right? It uses a concept known as the threshold. When the sound drops below the threshold, the gate closes. When it closes, it's more or less like the channel is switched off, right? When the sound comes above the threshold, the gate opens and you have sound. The important thing is that the gate doesn't miss any cues. So in order to illustrate this, I've recorded Wen-Ting's voice and I'm going to play it back through the mixer. Okay, so from my recorder, I'm patched into stereo 1 2 on the back, which is coming in on this channel here. Okay, so I'm going to play that.
The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life.
Okay.
Of whom shall I be afraid?
Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to enable the gate and then I'm going to adjust the threshold. So listen what happens.
Stumble and fall. Though an army besiege me, my heart will not fear. The war breaks out against me, even then will
Just
I be
doing a bit of
confident.
EQ.
One thing I ask of the Lord, this is what I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze upon the beauty of the Lord.
Okay.
Day of trouble, be safe in his belly. He will hide me in the shelter of his tabernacle.
Up again.
And set me high upon him.
Okay. Do you notice that if the threshold is set too high, this is the threshold. The signal is here. If the signal never gets above the threshold, the gate never opens, right? So you could hear that at first it started to cut her off and then there was no sound at all, right? So the way that you set the gate is you set it such that it opens when the person speaks and it shuts when the person is silent. Okay, let's try one more time. I'm going to start with the threshold all the way down. play my recording.
Oh, will I sacrifice with shouts of
So
joy.
you can see that now the gate's not shutting at all, right?
Hear my voice when I call, O Lord. Be merciful to me and answer me. My heart says of you, seek his face. Your face, Lord, I will seek. Do not hide your face from me. Do not turn your servant away in anger. You have been my helper.
Sounds
Do
okay?
not reject me or forsake me, O God, my Saviour. Though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me. Teach me your way, O Lord. Lead me in a straight path because of my oppressors. Do not turn me over to the desire of my foes, for false witnesses rise up against me, breathing out violence.
Now, what's the point of having this? Notice when I bypassed it, it sounds the same, right? What's the point?
You cut out the breathing voice.
Right. So, in other words, it cuts off anything that is in between what the person is saying. So, say you're operating in a very noisy environment, right? You got fans, you got background noise. When the person is not speaking, the mic is off. The other thing is, say you don't know when the mic's going to be used. So you have a mic and you're not sure when the speaker is going to step up and use the mic. With this, you can actually leave the mic on, but at the same time, this babysits, okay? I'll run through the controls here. Threshold, as I've explained, is the level above which the gate opens, okay? So lower threshold means the gate is quite easy to open. High threshold means the gate is harder to open. Depth refers to how much the signal is cut off, right? So right now it's minus 60 dB, which is effectively completely off. You can actually set it to, like, say, minus 12. And what that means is that the gate is not completely shut, right? It leaves a little bit of space for the sound to get in. Attack and release. Attack is how fast the gate opens. Release is how fast the gate shuts. In this application, I just leave it at the defaults, okay? The release, the attack goes from 0.1 millisecond to 200. The depth, the release goes from 20 to 500 milliseconds, okay? These two sidechain, it's used to adjust the sensitivity of the gate frequency-wise, so we don't have to worry too much about that. Okay, so let's try this.
The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When evil men advance against me to devour my flesh, when my enemies and my foes attack me,
you turn the threshold up until it starts to cut her off, and then you go the other way.
I will not fear. The war break out against me. Even then will I be confident. One thing I ask of the Lord, this is what I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze upon the beauty of the Lord, to seek him and all. For in the day of trouble, he will keep me safe in his dwelling. He will hide me in the shelter of his tabernacle, and set me high upon a rock. Then my head will be exalted above the enemies who surround me. At his tabernacle will I sacrifice with shouts of joy. I will sing and make music to the Lord. Hear my voice when I call, O Lord. Be merciful.
So too tight.
My heart says of you, seek his face. Your face, Lord, I will seek. Do not hide your face from me. Do not turn your servant away in anger. You have been my helper.
Okay.
Do not reject me.
Now, where the gate comes in really helpful is on drums. Because the thing about drums is that drums, there's two parts to the sound. There's the initial sound, right? Of the beater hitting the head. Then you have the resonance of the drum shell ringing, okay? And if you want your drum to sound tight, you gotta lose that resonance. Here we've got, okay. Now this kick drum, okay. So listen carefully. This is with no gate. Can you hear the after ring? Very obvious, huh? Okay. So switch the gate on, and I'm going to adjust this, and you'll hear the sound of the drum tighten up. Hang on, I want a real fast release for this. Yeah? Okay, no gate. Gate. Huh? It's also very useful on snare drum. Here's the snare drum. Okay, so you can hear with the snare drum, you have that sort of ooh, ooh sound after the drum is hit. Same thing. That's with the gate. No gate. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we can practice on that. You can stop the recording. Let me just